Dear learners, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn something about limit state method. And we are going to solve one question which has been previously asked in ESC examination, and not just once but twice. Once for 10 marks and another time for 15 marks. And this is very important conceptual question. And the question states that what are the various assumptions on which the design for limit state of collapse in flexure is based. So we have to write what are the various assumptions on which the design of limit state of collapse is based. Okay, so without any further delay, let's start with our first assumption. So I have written the solution here. The solution is the design for the limit state of collapse in flexure as per IS code. IS code is 456/2000, is based on the following assumptions. First assumption is that the plane section normal to the axis remains plane after bending. Now, what does it mean? You must have heard this statement many times. But what does it mean? So see, for explaining you this, I have drawn a beam. This is the beam and it is bending under some load, and after bending it is becoming something like this. Okay, now for analysis I have taken a section which is in pink color here, and we will analyze this section. Okay, so here is the exaggerated view of this same pink section. I have taken this pink section. Now when we are bending the beam, you see that there is a neutral axis. I'll mark it here. We find a neutral axis over here. What does this neutral axis mean? Neutral axis means it is neither getting compressed nor it is getting elongated. This certain fiber, this certain fiber of the beam is neither getting compressed nor getting elongated. You can see the same thing over here. There is a neutral axis after bending. So this axis is not getting affected by bending. It is neither getting elongated nor getting compressed. Okay, so there is neither compression nor elongation in this fiber of the beam, the central fiber of the beam, and that is called neutral axis. All the other fibers in the beam above the neutral axis, these many fibers are getting compressed. Okay, these are facing compression, and all the fibers below this neutral axis here are facing tension. Okay, these are getting elongated. As you can see in the figure, these are getting elongated. All the fibers are getting elongated. Now, so in this, if we see this pink section of the beam, there is certain neutral axis at the center of the beam, which is neither getting elongated nor getting compressed. So this is called the neutral axis of the beam. Neutral axis. Okay, it is not getting affected. All the fibers above this neutral axis is under compression, and all the fibers below this beam is under tension, right? Now we assume that first assumption is that the plane section normal to the axis remains plane after bending. That means if we take any section normal to the beam, if we take any section this normal to the beam, okay, this is not visible clearly, so I'll take yellow color only. So any section if we take normal to this axis, okay, like this, it remains plane even after bending. What does it mean? It means that every fiber which is under compression, it will compress like this. It will compress linearly, okay, so that the strain is a linear function. Okay, so why do we assume this? So that the strain is a linear function. Strain is linear. It means that there is no strain in this purple fiber. There is no strain, zero strain. Strain is zero. That means what is strain? Strain is change in length by original length, right? So the strain is zero in the central fiber. Now as we go above, the strain is increasing linearly. Linearly means we can find out, if we know the strain over here, from similar triangles we can find out what will be the strain over here. We can use similar triangles, but in actual practice it is not so. It is possible that strain is 0 over here and there is strain constant over here. So, some fiber is having this much strain, then this, then this. It is possible that the strain diagram is something like this. But for the sake of understanding, for the sake of simplicity, what do we assume? We assume that the plane section before bending remains plane after bending. This means this is constant. This increases linearly. The strain is a linear function. And why do we take that? So that we can easily apply the similar triangles in order to find the strain. And this is our assumption that strain is linear. So if we know the strain over here, we can easily find out what is the strain over here. How can we find out? By using similar triangles. So that is the first assumption. But and in reality, the material is heterogeneous material. It is a concrete, and its strain cannot be linear. Now let's move on to the second assumption. The second assumption states that the relation between the compressive stress and strain in concrete can be taken as shown below. Okay, so this is the stress strain diagram for concrete. However, the relationship between the stress and the strain can be taken as rectangular, parabolic, trapezoidal, or any other shape if the strength calculation based on the above is substantial agreement with the test results. So generally we take this, but the stress strain diagram can be, it is said that the stress strain diagram can be rectangular as well, it can be parabolic as well, it it can be trapezoidal as well. Okay, so uh, how trapezoidal, it can be taken as like this. Okay, it can be trapezoidal. So the stress strain diagram could take any form as long as it is compatible with the test results. Okay, now let's understand what I have drawn over here. I have drawn the stress strain diagram, but why three numbers over here? Why three graphs over here? So see this graph. From where I'm getting this graph? I'm getting this graph by testing the concrete cube in a universal testing machine. Okay, this graph is obtained by testing of concrete cube in the universal testing machine, right? This is how we obtain the stress strain curve, and this is the stress strain curve of for concrete. This uh, blue line denotes FCK. FCK means characteristic strength of the concrete, which we are getting from the test result, right? But for designing purpose, if we want to design a house, suppose if we want to design a beam, we are not going to take the strength of concrete as FCK. Why not? Because test results might be faulty. Concrete is not a very reliable, not reliable, it is not very homogeneous material. Cannot be true that whatever strength is we are getting from the test, if that same strength will be shown by the concrete while we are building a structure. Then what do? We reduce this strength by 2/3. We only take whatever the characteristic strength we have got from the experiment, we take only 2/3 of this strength, 2/3 of FCK. Now 2/3 is what? 0.6666, right? That means 0.67, right? 0.67 FCK. This is called the design strength of concrete. Design strength. This is called the design strength of concrete. And after we got the design strength, which we are going to take as the strength of the concrete, after this we apply a factor of safety to it. Okay, for the safety of the structure. That factor of safety is how much? It is 1.5. Factor of safety for concrete, what do we take? Factor of safety for concrete, we take 1.5. Okay, Now we will divide this design strength by factor of safety so that it reduces further. So 0.67 FCK, that is the characteristic strength, divided by 1.5. Now if you divide this, what you will get 0.67. You can calculate this and you can check 1.5, and that will give you 0.4467 FCK. So this is how we get 0.446 or 0.4545, you can say. This is nearly equal to 0.45, which you have heard in this RCC many times. 0.45 FCK. You will get this 0.45 FCK, and this is a very familiar term, 0.45 FCK. I wonder if you ever thought from where are we getting this 0.45 FCK. So we are getting this 0.45 FCK from here. Now let's go on to the third assumption. The third assumption that is that the maximum strain in concrete at the outermost compression fiber is taken as 0.0035 in bending. So see, there was a beam. The beam was bending something like this. So let's analyze this pink section. I have told you it will have a neutral axis. Neutral axis means that fiber of the beam which is neither bending nor getting elongated, right? All the other fibers above this is facing compression, and all the other fibers below this is facing tension. Now it is said that the strain in concrete at the outermost compression fiber. So which is the outermost compression fiber? This fiber over here. Okay, let me mark it in pink color, deep pink. So this is the outermost compression fiber, and all the fibers below this is facing less elongation, less compression than this fiber. So the maximum compression which the fiber which is experiencing is the outermost fiber, right? It is getting maximum compressed. So this, for this fiber which I have marked in deep pink, the strain should not be more than 0.0035. That means change in length to original length should not be greater than 0.0035. That means change in length of the beam in the outermost compression fiber should not be greater than 0.0035 times the original length of the beam. Okay, that is the maximum permissible compression in the beam or the compression in the concrete. So why is it so? Because concrete is a, if you stretch concrete, it is a brittle material, right? It is not ductile in nature, so that it will get elongated, it will get compressed. No, it is not a ductile material, it is a brittle material. So if the strain in concrete is more than this, it is quite possible that concrete will break because it is a brittle material. So for to ensure that it will not collapse, the structure will not collapse, we must ensure that the change in length to the original length, that is the maximum possible strain in the concrete, is less than 0.0035. I hope you understood this third statement. Now let's move on to the fourth statement. The tensile strength of the concrete is assumed to be negligible. There is no tensile strength in concrete. Though there is compressive strength, it is highly compressive, it has high compression strength, but the tensile strength of the concrete is zero. Okay, slowly we are moving on to the very important assumption. For the design purpose, the partial factor of safety of the steel is taken as 1.15. Factor of safety for steel, what do we take? 1.15. And for concrete, what do we take? Factor of safety for concrete, we take it as 1.5. See, See the difference. So why there is so much difference? Difference is because the concrete is not lab made, but this is made in factory, so there is better quality control. Okay, and the stresses in steel is derived from the stress strain curve shown below. So this is the stress strain curve of the steel. This is the stress strain curve of the steel. What is this? This is called Fy. That is the yield strength of the steel. So you must have seen such diagram, the stress strain diagram for a mild steel bar. You must have observed this sort of thing. Then there is something like this, then like this. We study this in a great detail in our first years. So this is called proportional limit, then a plateau, then this is called fracture point, right? This is called fracture point. So, and this is called yielding point and proportional limit, like that. But why are we taking it like this? Because we design the structure on the basis of yielding of a steel, and we do not proceed further. Okay, we, in limit state of design, we do not uh, wait up to the fracture of the steel. So what strength of the steel we take for designing? We take the yielding strength of the steel for designing purpose. Okay, so not this, not exactly this. This is the yield strength of the steel. Now we divide it by the factor of safety. And how much the factor of safety we take? We take 1.15. Okay, now if you divide f1 by 1.5, 1 divided by 1.15, what you will get? You will get 0.869 Fy. Okay, and now we take it as 0.87 Fy, right? 0.87 Fy, and you will find this 0.87 Fy n number of times in your RCC formulas, right? So from where are you getting this 0.87 Fy? It is from the assumption that factor of safety for the steel is taken as 1.15. So what do? We are just solving this and we get 0.87 Fy. Okay. Now moving on to the next assumption. For that, let's understand one thing. Steel is a costly material. What is steel? Steel is a costly material. Okay, the most costly material in RCC. So we want the full utilization of strength of the steel. So for that purpose, we do one thing. See, this point over here, now you know that this is Fy. This whole is Fy. I mean, this is Fy. Okay, this is the characters. This is Fy. Okay, and this is what? 0.87 Fy. This is 0.87 Fy, right? Now, so the steel, if you look carefully here, the steel has yielded at this point, and it will yield, and then there will be a yield plateau. It is called, this is the yield plateau, and after that it will just fracture. This is the fracture point. So we are not going to the fracture point. Okay, we are just going to the point where the steel has just yielded. Okay, so the yield point of the steel, this is the yield point of the steel. Okay, so yield point, we will go up to the yield point of the steel. We will utilize the strength of the steel up to the yield point. Okay, so that full strength of the steel is utilized. Now this is the yield point, that means the stress is Fy. Now we apply the factor of safety, that is 0.87 Fy. Okay, now what do? How we will make sure that this we are utilizing the we are putting the stress up to this level? How we to ensure that we are putting the stress up to this level? Okay, so for that we have to correlate it with strain. Okay, because we know that stress by strain is Young's modulus, right? And Young's modulus of steel is constant. So if we want the strength to reach somewhere, somewhere means 0.87 fy, we have to fix this. We have to fix this strain. If we somehow fix this strain, minimum strain, we can make sure that we are reaching this point, 0.87 fy. Okay, I know it is a bit confusing, but still try to cooperate. So now, how to find out this strain? So first of all, we have found out the yield strength or the characteristic strength of the steel. Then we have divided it with the factor of safety, that is 1.15, so as to get the design strength of the steel. This is called the design strength. Okay, design strength of the steel. So how we will ensure that this strength is reached? So for this, what we will do, from this point here, we will draw another line which is parallel to this line. Okay, so here I have made this. I I will draw this line parallel to this line. Okay, and this point is found out to be 0.002. This distance is always found out to be 0.002. Okay, if we draw a line parallel to this, we found out this yield point, and we have drawn a line parallel to this line, then this strain will be 0.002. This is from, you can say, from the graph we have observed that this is 0.002, this strain. Now these two lines are parallel. This is theta. Okay, now tan theta is perpendicular by base, right? So stress by strain, and that is equals to the modulus of elasticity, Young's modulus. We know this, right? Tan theta is stress by strain, and that is the ratio of stress by strain is Young's modulus. Now you see here, you observe here, this distance is what? It is 0.87 fy, right? This is 0.87 fy, 0.87 fy. This is 0.87 fy, means this line, the length of this line, you can, from geometry, it is 0.87 fy, right? Let this be x. Let this distance be x. Okay, so tan theta will be equals to perpendicular by base. We know that tan theta is equals to perpendicular by base. Now if you observe this triangle, in this triangle tan theta, we know that it is E. Okay, so tan theta or E is equals to perpendicular. What is the perpendicular distance? It is 0.87 fy, right? 0.87 fy. And what is base? Base is B. Okay, okay, base is what? X. I have taken it as X. So what will be the value of X? X will be 0.87 fy by E, right? So this distance now, X is now 0.87 fy by E, 0.87 fy by E. Okay, so now this total strain is how much? This total strain is how much? Is it not 0.002 plus 0.87 fy by E? E or Es shall I write? Es, that means it is the Young's modulus for the steel and not concrete. Okay, so somehow if we make sure that the strain is, if the strain is this much, at least this much, okay, at least this much, that means 0.002 plus 0.87 fy by Es, then we can make sure that the steel just yields, is at the steel is at the yield point when the strain is this much. And if the strain is less than this, the stress in the steel is less than its yield point. It is somewhere here, here, or here, whatever it is. But to make sure that the steel is fully utilized up to its yield point, we have to make sure that the strain in the steel is 0.002 plus 0.87 Fy by Es. That is the last assumption. The maximum strain, the maximum strain in the tension reinforcement in a section at failure, when the section is failing, shall not be less than, 0.002 plus 0.87 Fy by Es. Okay, this is to make sure that the strength of the steel is fully utilized and it has yielded. That means we have designed the structure as under reinforced structure. That means when the structure is failing, the steel will fail first and afterwards concrete. Okay, and that's very important for any RCC structure. So we have to make sure that that the when the structure is failing, the maximum strain in the tension reinforcement in the section at failure shall not be less than this value. So this is the minimum value it should have, 0.87 Fy by Es. I hope I made you understand each and every point clearly. This was very important video and very important concepts which will help you in your entire RCC structure. Okay. So with this is Shraddha Bharti signing off. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Do like and follow me for more, and do follow my Telegram channel for further more updates. Bye bye and have a nice day.